In today's video, I am showing you 3 items that sat in my vendor booth unsold for months. I decided they needed a makeover, and so I can't wait to show you how they turned out. So stay tuned. Hey my friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have some items that I've had in my vendor booth for a while and they just didn't sell. Sometimes I do like to, if I find something from a thrift store and it looks good, I try to sell it first before I automatically go into let's make this new mode. And so these are 3 items that I did that with. I just put them in my booth to see if they would sell. They hadn't sold in several months. So I took them out and said, these things need a makeover, and that's what we're doing today. So let's go ahead and get started. This is a little chair that I got at an estate sale, and it is not very big. But anyway, I got it for like $5. Probably paid too much for it, but I don't know, I liked it. But it's been sitting in my booth for a while, and so I just need to get it sold. So I think I'm gonna make it over kind of with a man in mind, like a, man cave or men's office or something like that. But I'm gonna use this IOD packet, and it's a Christmas packet, but in it, let me show you, there is an image that's this deer right here. And I just think that'll go good, and I'm gonna use this country chic paint in the color Secret Garden. I like the green of it, so I think that'll go well together. And I could make this perfect by filling in those little gaps there, but I want it to stay rustic. And like this part right here has some wood that's not, perfect, but I kind of want to keep it that way just to keep that rustic feel. So I'm just going to give this a paint job and then distress it, and then we'll move on to the image. Every time I use this color, I think I fall more in love with the color. I just think it's such a pretty green. And then when you use an antique wax with it, it's just so pretty. But the paint, the country chic paint, I actually really like this paint. I've used it a few times, but the more I use it, the more I like it. It's self-leveling, so you really don't see brush marks in the paint, and it just goes on real smooth. But I only gave this 1 coat of paint because I didn't want it to be too hard to sand through, and I did want it to look as rustic as possible. So 1 coat was enough coverage for for the look that I was kind of going for. Let me know in the comments what your favorite brand of paint is to use. I'm really not sure what level of sandpaper this is. It's probably a 180, I'm not sure, but I wanted to make sure I got through that paint and showed a lot of that wood, so I distressed it pretty good, and just, around the edges where you would normally get wear. Now I'm gonna put the transfer down, and I just take the little stick and I just rub it on top of the plastic vellum piece and just transfer that image onto the project. And when you finish transferring it, you just rub over it with the plastic vellum, and that just sets the image in place. And this image is set and ready to go. Now that I have the transfers on here, I'm just gonna give it a coat of clear wax, and that's to seal the paint in. And then I'm going to go over, you always have to seal in the transfer. And once I got the transfer on the back, it was a little whiter than it looked in the packet. So I'm just going around the image with some antique wax just to kind of brown it up a little bit. And this is what it turned out like. And you know what? I listed this the day I finished it, and it sold in one day. So that was amazing because it had been for sale in my booth, just brown plain wood, for so long. So I was super excited to get this sold. This is a tray that I have had in my booth for a while, several months, and it's pretty, but it hasn't sold. So I'm gonna give this a makeover, and I couldn't decide what I wanted to do, but the size of it needed kind of something big-ish. So I'm gonna use this transfer. I got this transfer set. It is a Redesign with Prima set, and I got it from Amazon. And so it's gonna go in the middle, and it's gonna kind of come up the sides a little bit. And I'm gonna paint this a green color. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I've already sort of started scuff sanding the back. I'm gonna scuff sand the top because it is very slick. And the last time I did a tray, it was, you know, this same tray, but I did it and the paint kind of was easy to chip. So I'm gonna give it a scuff sand, then I'm gonna paint it and do the transfer. So let's go ahead and sand it and wipe it down and then start painting. I really need to invest in some kind of primer. So let me know in the comments what your favorite primer is, or if you just use a spray paint to put, you know, kind of like a base coat before you start painting. But the paint color that I'm using is the color Moss by Waverly, and this is a very fun green to use, and you can get Waverly at Walmart. That's at least where I found it. So anyway, gave this a really good two coats of the paint, and now I'm just putting the transfer on. And again, you just set the transfer where you want it, rub over it with the stick, and once you have the transfer on the project, you rub it with the vellum to burnish it in real good. Once I get that done, I'm gonna go over the top and the bottom with a clear wax coat and wipe away the excess. And then I wanted to kind of give this a little bit more of an aged vintagey look. So once I get the clear wax on the top and I've wiped it back, then I'm gonna go over with a brush and I'm gonna lightly put the antique wax along the edges and all of kind of the inner corners just to give it an aged look, and then around the image as well. And I try to keep as much off of my brush as possible because I don't want it to be too heavy, but that is all I did to make this look aged. And here it is finished. This would be great to use for just a decor piece like this, or you could use it as a tray for your jewelry or for candles. But I did list this item as well on Facebook Marketplace, and it sold within a couple of days. Let me know in the comments what you think about this tray. I had this cheese board set in my booth, and it just has not sold. It sat there for a while. So I'm gonna give it a little facelift and hopefully get it sold. The color that I'm using for this cutting board or cheese board is the color Plaster by Waverly. And this is kind of a staple color that I use kind of a lot, but it's a really pretty color. All right, I have it painted, and I painted this side with a little heavier coverage than this side. I really like the coverage on this. You can see kind of around the edges where it's bare, because when I'm done with the project, I'm gonna go back over it with an antique wax, and so hopefully it'll get a little heavier on the exposed wood. But on this side, I'm gonna use some fabric. I see a lot of people decoupaging, and I just haven't found locally, without having to order, anything that I really care that much about. But I love this fabric. I got it from Walmart. So I'm just gonna cut a square that will fit on top of this whole thing and sort of decoupage it on with Mod Podge and go from there. So now I'm just gonna, get the piece that I want and cut it and use Mod Podge to put it on the top. This fabric is such a pretty fabric, and I've tried to find a link for it on the Walmart website and I haven't been able to, but I found this at Walmart. But I'm putting a coat of Mod Podge on the cutting board, and then I'm laying the piece of material down, and I'm kind of pressing it in real good because I want it to lay flat with no wrinkles. And then I'm going to go back over it with another coat of Mod Podge and let it dry completely. Once it's dried completely, I cut around the edges to get most of the excess off. And then I'm going to use some sandpaper to just kind of get, off of the edges so that I can have a clear edge. And if there's any strings left, I just cut those off. Now I'm using a clear wax to seal the back in as well as the front, because I'm also going to go over it with the antique wax, and I don't want the antique wax to soak too much into the material, but I'm focusing mainly around the sides, the edges of the cutting board, and just kind of stippling it a little bit around the top edge, and then I'll go over the back side of it with more, and I just wipe off excess wherever I see I've got a little bit too much. I'll wipe it off with the shop towel. Once that's done, I'm going to wrap some twine around the handle to kind of cover up the material that went up the handle, but I'm also going to tie it in a knot, and I'm going to use these little beads that I got from Dollar Tree and put 4 on one string and then 3 on the other, tie them up with a knot, and this project is done. I just think it turned out so incredibly cute. I haven't listed this one on Facebook Marketplace yet, so hopefully this one will sell just as quickly as the other two, but I just think this is so pretty. And this would be pretty not just in a kitchen, but I mean, you could use it in a bathroom, your bedroom, in a coffee bar. But anyway, you'll have to let me know which one of these projects was your favorite project. I think they all turned out really good, and it makes me very happy knowing that I got them sold immediately, and they had sat for so long in my booth. So if you have something that you're trying to sell and it's not selling, just give it a little facelift and see if that works. But anyway, thank you so much for stopping by. If you're new to my channel and you love this sort of content, then I would love it if you would consider subscribing. And if you want to see more thrift flip videos, then make sure you check out the box you see on the screen right now. And I'll see you next time. Bye.